All right, guys, my special guest tonight is Jordan Flowers. He is the co-founder of Amazon Labor Union and the Congress of Essential Workers. All right, Jordan, I've been trying to get you guys for so long. I know you guys are so busy. You got a lot going on. The last time I spoke with Chris was almost 2 years ago when he was starting like all the organizing and everything. And he told me about what happened at the warehouse in reference to the way the workers were treated, not having PPE, workers coming to work sick, etc. And then here we are, fast forward, the fight really did pay off. You guys were able to unionize like the first Amazon warehouse, which is huge, it's significant. So I definitely wanted to talk to you about what has happened like since then, because I can imagine you guys are super, super busy. So how's it been so far?
So great news. We actually got certified as of Wednesday. So we are an official union of Amazon at JFK. The issues right now, it's been the same thing before the certification. The workers are still having issues, breaks, and we're still there to support and fight them. And, solidifying this certification just brings us one step closer to our contract. So, it's just, pushing forward right now. It's just pushing forward.
How has it been for some of the other warehouses? I know there was another warehouse, I believe, in New York City that was also trying to unionize after your win. How are things going now? Because one of the things I read is that Amazon is obviously trying to make it more difficult for other warehouses to do the same thing.
So yes, that was ALB1. Up there, it's difficult. It's a different scenario. It's a different scene. The concept of trying to organize on property was harder, but we did what we could do as much as we can in ALB1. It's just with the union busing going on and they're ramping it up. How can I put this? It's they are making it harder. I should definitely say that because they're having classes almost every 20 minutes, every day, every shift. So we're talking about thousands of workers in a union busing class. So these struggles that these workers are facing, and then them union busing just makes it more of a tactic for us. That's hard.
Why do you think, because this is one of the questions that comes up often. This came up when I brought on some of the Starbucks workers that were trying to unionize too. Why do you think some of the employees are afraid to start a union? Because for me, like I've never been a part of a union, but for me, if someone came to me with that option, to me, I'm thinking, yes, I would definitely like for us to start a union. Why do you think some of the employees are feeling like, I guess, a little skeptical to do so?
Definitely wages. They must like the pay and the benefits that they're getting. Again, Amazon. In my facility, JFK, we were getting paid weekly. We had great insurance, and basically with not the time so much, but just scheduling that they had always accommodated workers. But at the same time, like most workers are being targeted, and most workers are being targeted, and it's unfair. So definitely sorry. Oh my God.
It's okay.
Sorry, I got a lot of things running through my head right now. But it's definitely with the union. It's because again, saying union inside Amazon is like the bad word. It's that word that would get you in trouble, and it's that fear that Amazon puts and the profits that they're making. And a lot of workers are scared to speak up. So now with unions on the rise, it's showing more worker power coming back, and that workers are not afraid to take that stance. But it's definitely big corporations, like the way they start treating their employees and how they have them in a consistent system.
Have any of the employees, to your knowledge, been fired for trying to unionize?
Oh, definitely. Chris got terminated. Gerald Bryson, another co-founder. I myself got terminated as of last year. There's been plenty of workers. We actually also had a fire probably 4 months ago, and we had the whole ALU staff suspended. So yeah, so we actually ended up getting those workers back. We actually got our organizers back in the facilities. So
for the workers that were suspended, were they suspended without pay?
No, they were suspended with pay.
This is interesting. And I know this costs money. Has the union basically, has the union looked for a lawyer to prevent these types of things from happening? Because technically, this is just what I've read for some of the other companies I've worked with. Technically, that's considered retaliation, and they're not supposed to do that. Has there been talks of trying to find like maybe a lawyer to protect you guys from that happening?
So definitely, we have a lawyer named Seth Goldstein, Ritu and Ria. These are some of our lawyers that deal with which is called the unfair labor practice. So definitely, we've been filing a bunch of those because the way Amazon's been treating our organizers themselves, it's like they don't even want us to organize indoors. Like they're really trying to prevent us to even come inside. So
Yeah,
we definitely have
that's
lawyers. Yeah, we do have top lawyers that are ready to follow these unfair labor practices.
yeah. The Starbucks said something similar like that too. I want to show people. This is an announcement that came from Chris Smalls recently. And it says, breaking news, we officially have been certified by Region 28 NLRB. Congrats, Amazon Labor. We beat Amazon fair and square. Now it's time to sign a contract. Come to the table. So could you explain to people, Jordan, why is this contract so important?
This would be the first ever contract inside of Amazon. It took us almost over a year and a half just to organize JFK. It took me, Chris, Derek, Gerald almost 2.5 years just traveling and exploiting Amazon and exploiting the truth and the propaganda and the expenses that he's been paying for and the profits he's been making during the pandemic. So, I mean, with this being sort of our certification now, it's one, like I said earlier, it's one step closer to our contract, which now legally they have to sit down with us.
This is amazing. So I just wanted to show this to you guys here, if you can see it. Oh, I actually made it smaller when I did that. Sorry. But yeah, this is the contract here that Chris posted, and it says Amazon.com Services LLC employer and Amazon Labor Union petitioner. And there's the case number there. So they actually have a contract now, which is phenomenal. Quick question in reference to other unionizing efforts. I've seen Chris support other union efforts as well. I've seen Chris everywhere, at least on the pictures, because I've seen him like standing with some of the strippers that wanted to unionize and all these other different businesses that are trying to do the same thing. And I know, like I said, I know you guys are super, super busy, but I just wanted to say to people how especially important solidarity can be in this kind of fight. One of the things I did ask one of the Starbucks workers is that would they have been interested in trying to get other, restaurant workers to organize as well, like just one big club of like the restaurant workers organizing together. And they said, well, yeah, we didn't think about that. No one presented that idea to us, but looking back on it, it makes sense because we've seen Chipotle workers have tried to organize. They've been hitting a lot of challenges with them. One of the stores actually closed and because they were trying to unionize with Chipotle. So some of these other, I think companies, they're having a bit of a difficult time. Starbucks actually has been doing the same thing. They've been closing some of their locations instead of allowing these employees to unionize, which is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. What do you think? What kept you guys motivated? Because I know, like I said, I talked to Chris Smalls like almost 2 years ago. And so I'm just wondering, like, how do you keep going? How do you not give up?
So what a lot of people don't know is that at the time, me, Chris Smalls, and Gerald, we were all terminated. And Derek was actually still the only one employed. So when we started traveling as the Congress of Essential Workers, we actually used our unemployment money and self-invested into this. So we, again, once we came back to form ALU and we was at the bus stop, again, it was us four. We had Connor Spence and we had Brett Daniels. And again, JFK, it's our community. We've been there more than 3 or 4 years. So we already know the employees. We know the suffering that they're going through. We know the pain. We know the statistics in the game. And again, it's like, we came here for a reason and we're fighting this fight for you, like for the workers. And then more workers started to join, which formed the ALU. And again, it's just that, it's a lot of self-investment and, really talking to workers and actively engaging with workers. I should also say, when we started actively engaging with more workers and workers that didn't even know what a union was, and they started seeing the perks and benefits, we had some employees that were terminated before the union, and we were able to get their job back. And, it's little factors like that that also, boosted the union's momentum inside JFK. So it was always actively engaging with the workers. Even if we didn't know them or we knew them, it was just actively engaged.
That's amazing. Have you guys faced any type of pushback when you've gone to other Amazon warehouses to talk to workers?
Definitely in Albany, we had plenty of times the cops were cold on us because they say we were trespassing, but we were Amazon employees. We had Amazon employees that were able to go on property. We didn't have man, it's a lot.
See how they use things like trespassing to get rid of you.
Mm-hmm. We also had managers come out and they're trying to say that we're breaking the law, or we can't be here. We're not an employee at that facility, but it's like we're all Amazon employees. So if I'm if I'm able to be accessed in JFK, I should be able to be on property in AOB1 because I'm an active Amazon employee. So it's little tactics like that. And then again, like I said, it's always the cops. The cops is always involved. But at this time, we also told the cops that the cops are union too. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you trying to fight us when this corporation's treating us bad? We're here to fight for the workers. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it was a lot of cop activity, but it was definitely like really, really ramping up bad.
So now that you guys have this contract, Amazon cannot come back, just to make sure everyone understands this. Now that you have this contract, they can't come back and say, I'm sorry, you can't have this union here, correct?
Correct. So that certification basically states that we are the official union just for that facility right now. And we actively work with those employees. But we are working with other buildings to start their ALU campaigns. But for now, this one right here is just for JFK. And then this certification gets us one step closer to the contract.
Awesome. Now, since then, so are you back at that location?
No. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Actually, Amazon has been calling me because I know they knew that they wrongfully terminated me. They're trying to put me on disability leave services. They're trying to get me with the Hartford, which is their insurance company. But again, my argument is y'all can't put me on disability if I'm not an active employee. And even if they appeal it and then I get denied, like that still defeats the purpose of them opening these cases. I'm not an active employee, so yeah, that's what I've been personally going through in the last few days.
Would you feel comfortable going back to that location?
No.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Just because my health, I'm on the kidney transplant list, and I mean, COVID's not as high, but COVID's still around. Cold's still around. I can still get easily sick, and I don't want to put my life in jeopardy working in this facility.
Well said. Well, you've definitely fought the good fight here. I'm curious because I know there's a lot of you guys. I know it's not just you and Chris, but how do you guys see how do I want to put this? How do you continue to explain to people why this is so important for them to do? Because some people are afraid. I've talked to people on here before. We had an activist summit at RBN. Some people are afraid to start a union because they're afraid that they're either going to be fired or they're going to be pushed out of their job, or they're going to have a difficult time trying to get a job somewhere else. This particular story received national news. I saw it on mainstream media. I think Chris was on, I always forget this guy's name. I can't remember if it was John Oliver or it was one of them. One of the late night shows.
It was the late night show.
Yeah. So you guys have gotten a lot of attention. How do you continue to, I guess, maintain your humbleness, but at the same time realize that you did something really great here that should be celebrated?
Well, I mean, it's not that we just won our fight. The fight's always going to be there. It's going to be a continuation fight. And the more buildings means more workers are going to stand up. So, I mean, just for us to start, and now we're starting to see more facilities when they come along, it just shows that, again, more workers are starting to stand up and ready to fight back. Because, again, Amazon's been around for almost 20 employees being mistreated for all these years. And I mean, again, a lot of people, yes, there are a lot of people that are scared to speak up, but there's a lot of risks that we took, but we were doing it for the employees of JFK to let them know that, we need to stand up as one community and fight back. again, he traveled the world and exploited his expenses and his propaganda and all the stuff he was doing, especially the rocket ship. The best thing we always talk about. Again, like that's the best thing we always mention to employees. Like, if you ever want to know what Jeff Bezos thinks of you, go to that interview, because he stated he thanked you for sending him to space when that money could have came back to us during COVID and be treated fairly. But no, he'd rather use it on himself. So this is why we tell him, like, that by you guys having a union, we can cut that and start bringing that money back to us, and we can start using it. Yeah, we can start using it for our community.
That's right. I'm not sure if you heard this, but Amazon announced that they're about to lay off thousands of workers. And it's not just them, like Facebook and I believe, was it Intel? It's a lot of the tech companies. They're also laying off thousands of workers, but I know Amazon was one of the ones that announced too. Do you think that has something to do with the workers trying to unionize, or do you think that's more so due to inflation?
Oh, definitely. I mean, with inflation with Amazon, like Amazon is holding the world's money right now. So money's not a problem for Amazon, but it's definitely workers starting to speak up. And I mean, again, we knew that Amazon's going to try to fight back. So workers that are going to try to organize, that might deal with some termination or suspension. But when you keep going to that facility where you work at and you keep standing your ground, workers are going to start coming to you and supporting you. And this is how you start fighting back, and that's how you start to fight. And then this is when you start tagging along. And again, like I said, Amazon Labor Union has a bunch of facilities that are in the works of unionizing, and this is when we start going on the front line.
Well said. What advice would you give to someone that's thinking about starting a union? Like the pros and the cons, what would you tell them ahead of time? Or what is it that you wish someone would have told you before you decided to unionize?
So I'm actually still in the learning process. But my mom was 1199, so I do know some of the perks. I had some of the perks when I was younger, but definitely it's wages. You can always get a higher wage. You get treated better. You can be able to move up in the company if you want to. It offers a lot of benefits. And again, even with medical or whatever you need, that this is what the union has to offer. If you have a kid that has to go to school, we can help accommodate you and your family. Hey, it's just that this company says that they care for you, but realistically, they're making you slave these hours out and then expect you to come to work the next day on your best behavior. But at the same time, you're waking up out of bed thinking if you have a job the next day or not.
That's right. They can turn on you at any time. Well, we've seen this happen to people, especially last year. After inflation started, people were being laid off again, left and right. So in reference to this particular warehouse, have you heard anything about layoffs happening at that facility so far?
So far, it's been not layoffs, but there have been a lot of suspensions. So, and we're also starting to see that with our facility, they start suspending workers and then terminating them probably a week or two later, which is starting to become a problem. So we have lawyers right now that's on the works of dealing with this. But it's definitely they're definitely laying off right now. There was a point in time where they were actually talking about shutting down this building because we were organizing so good. And again, at that time they're jeopardizing 8,000 jobs right there where they're already making money. It's not that we're stopping them making money, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're about to lay off 8,000 people that have to go on unemployment when unemployment, started decreasing, but you're just going to make it rise again. So definitely, it was a scare for some workers that they were afraid, again, they were going to lose their job just because to us. But again, with us fighting and making sure that these workers stay on the right path and that Amazon won't pull any tricks and always having them in court, you know what I'm saying? This is the fight we have to deal with.
How do they continue to move? Because I'm curious about this, but because they're doing like these layoffs, how do they continue to move the product? Like, how do they continue to make it so that people who have like the Prime memberships, they still get their items within 2 days? I'm curious.
Again, it's Amazon. So if they're even short staffed, they'll either, I'll use myself in an instant. If I work from 8 to 9, right, and they're short staffed, they might tell me to work an extra hour or two. So they'll probably make me stay longer. So they'll start targeting certain workers to work longer than others. So that's also been a problem, which is like our mandatory overtime or our voluntary extra time. But they'll start putting it on workers without them even knowing. So definitely they monitor their staff and when they come in and out the building.
What if you can't stay longer? Like, what if it's someone that's like a single mom and they have to pick up their kid from daycare?
If she doesn't have enough time, they can end up writing her up or, they could terminate her. but they're not going to try to accommodate you. You have to go by what they give you, basically.
Jeez, you guys hearing that? I'm just talking to the audience. You guys hearing this? This is why we really have to push back. We really have to push back on capital, because you see how they can just exploit the people. What are you supposed to do? And then it's so many people, you know, they're scared because they don't want to lose their job because they need the money. They got to pay their rent. But at the same time, it's like the people are being overworked. It's like a modern form of slavery. That's what it feels like to me. It's terrible. It's terrible. I couldn't imagine. I'm just thinking about this now and I'm like, what if you couldn't do it? Like, what if you just couldn't stay that extra hour because you have kids or something, you know?
So a true story, actually, when JFK first opened up in 2018, our first peak season, it started in the middle of November and didn't end until January because we were short staffed the way we opened up, and they were making us work 60 hours a week. So we're talking about, my schedule was Monday to Saturday, 60 hours. And you would only get one day off. But once we came into the fight and started, you know, saying like we started explaining the workers, fighting for workers, exploiting Amazon, we actually got that time cut short. So then workers started working 50 hours and they'll have like more days off. So they'll still be able to hit whatever they need for Amazon, but have an extra day off or whatever they need to be accommodated with. So, but definitely true story that JFK's first opening peak season, we had to do 60 hours.
Jesus, I can't imagine. How has the support been from the community? I know a while back, I know that you guys were having a rally. Well, you've had multiple ones, but you were having a rally, and there was one in particular where I remember AOC had, I guess, signed up for this and was supposed to come, did not show up. And then that was, I guess, she made a tweet on Twitter that said, congratulations, I guess, after you guys had won. And then there was this back and forth. From other people, herself and other people, you know, saying that like she didn't show up, you know, and eventually she did show up with herself and with Bernie Sanders. But how has the support been from other people in the community, and also have any other politicians from that area, have they shown up to support you guys as well?
So a main one I always love to talk about, Jessica Ramos. She's in Queens. She's a Queens representative. We actually had a fight with Governor Kathy Hochul to get the Warehouse Protection Act, which actually got signed by her Kathy Hochul before the end of the year. So definitely with Jessica Ramos, keep pushing that into her ear. That's another win for us because the Warehouse Protection Act protects Amazon workers or any warehouse worker from getting terminated without any reason. So it's a just cause. Like Amazon can't say just because I wanted to terminate you. They have to give a formal reason now. So that was also, you know, so that was a major win and a major support from us in Jessica Ramos.
Do you believe that had it not been for the fight that you guys did for the Amazon labor union, do you believe that Warehouse Protection Act would have been signed?
No.
This is why the push on the outside is incredibly important. This is why, like, organizing, direct action, all of these things that you do within the community outside of the political space, this is why it's so important. Because of their fight, that really put pressure on Kathy Hochul to sign that Warehouse Protection Act so that other people don't have to go through this again.
So, yeah, that was definitely a big win for us because, again, at the same time, before we even got unionized or really started our campaign, again, we had a bunch of workers get terminated, but again, it was probably because of some crazy reason Amazon gave. They stated that I voluntarily resigned from Amazon, which I never did. I was fighting to keep my job and get disability services and accommodations. But again, this is the reason why we have the just cause now. They can't say they wanted to find me just cause. They have to give a reason now. I didn't voluntarily resign, so we know that's a wrongful termination. So with the just cause, that protects more workers now to keep their jobs and, you know, not having to worry that they're going to lose their job the next day.
Did you like your job? Like, let's say in the beginning, did you enjoy it? Because when I talked to Chris, one of the things that he said was he actually, you know, liked his job. He just didn't like the way that they were treated.
So I did. I came in as a picker, but they didn't really have me picking for like the first 3 months. They had me doing Amnesty, which is Amazon Robotics. So I was actually a technician. So they didn't have me doing, I ain't gonna say like picking, but they had me picking some days. They had me counting some days. But majority of the time, they had me as an Amazon Robotics technician. So I definitely liked working with the robots because it just shows you how much money this man makes, the technology they have, And, it's how technology is just growing.
Yeah. What could you explain to people? What do you mean when you say being a picker?
So
what does that mean at Amazon? Yeah.
So being a picker in Amazon is you sitting in the station and you have the robot bring these big yellow pods to you. And the pods have different sections with different items in. So a light will emit on one bin, which say with J4. J4 has a sticker. It will light on J4. You pick J4, you scan it, and you put it in a bin. And once you confirm it's in the bin, that's how you know the order's confirmed. And then with that yellow tote, you send it down the line, which goes to pack singles, AFE, multi-pack, smart pack. And then we have packers who take that item out, pack it up, and then ship it down the line to go to the outbound ship down.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for explaining that to people, because I know some people are probably like, what does that mean? Well, all I have to say is like super, super like congratulations for like everything that you guys have done. I know it's been a long time coming. I know you guys have put in a lot of hard work. Like I said, it was 2 years ago when Chris first talked to me about this. So this just goes to show those of you that are watching as well, like these things aren't done overnight. Like sometimes it does take time. I remember Chris saying that they were going to protest outside of Jeff Bezos' homes. Like I remember, like it was a long fight. It wasn't something that was done very quickly, but you guys continued to push, and this is the end result. So congratulations. Super proud of you guys. And Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. And where can people follow ALU and the Congress organization? Let me know and I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, the Congress of Essential Workers is like, that's low right now because we've been mainly ALU. So it's really at Amazon labor page. You can follow myself at JTCOEW, Chris Smalls, I don't really remember his name, Derek. It's too much. But definitely at Amazon labor. Definitely, that's where all the updates, all the information, all the insights, and whatever process, event, or next step, or next building we're fighting for, we'll all be updated at Amazon labor on Twitter.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome to hear from ALU. Like I said, it's been a long fight, but they kept at it and here they are. So we have to keep fighting back against these oligarchs, you guys. Amazon has a lot of money. Jeff Bezos has a lot of money, and none of these workers should be treated this way, regardless of the name of the employer, period.